Welcome to ClausenWorld and part 2 of the online plant haul, live plant haul. Before we get into that, let's get into this. I want to show you something that I think you already know, mosquitoes flying around. I want to show you something that I think people might not be thinking of right now. There's so much to think about before the fall comes. But this one, I want to take you into my garden and show you. So, come on. Everybody is so focused on sowing seeds for fall, for the fall food garden. But don't forget, you want interest in your garden for those pollinators that might still be out and about. So I am going to be sowing some viola seeds. I'm going to be also sowing some pansy seeds, as well as, you already know, I have pansies in the garden, but I'm going to be sowing some giant pansies as well. I want to make sure that before the fall comes, I have some fall interest flowers. My mums are already coming alive. The one that was over here that I accidentally took off drip that was looking real sad a few months ago, that one has popped back with a vengeance and it looks great. So I will have mums. I will have hopefully some more pansies and violas. So let's sow some seeds before we get into planting up those new babies we got. Okay, you've seen these pots before. I've sowed some seeds. They did not do well. They did not germinate. It was just too hot. So I am going to put some fall flower interest in these pots. I did plant some Swiss giant pansies. That's what you see right here. That's looking really bad. But I'm going to also plant some spring mix pansies as well. Now I'm hoping that these, well, they say September through October, so these should do fine in the garden. So I am going to just sow these as well because I want that fall interest. I love flowers. I think you all know that by now. If you've been watching my videos at all, you know that I truly have a love for the garden. I've got flowers and plants everywhere. Let's see. And so I only have a few of these left. These are good for containers. Can you guys see that? So if you ever see that on a pack of flower seeds, good for containers. Not that other plants aren't good for containers, but these are letting you know that they're best suited for containers. So I have a few seeds. They're tan and brownish, kind of tiny. So I'm going to sow these. It's mid-August, so I'm hoping that these will germinate for me and I will have some nice pansies growing in the garden. So I think that's about it. I'm going to open up this packet just to make sure that I'm not leaving any seeds behind. We leave no seeds behind, you guys. No man left behind, no seeds left behind. Nope, it's empty, all gone. So all those are gone. One more seed packet down, one more seed packet to go. Now I have some saved seed here. I saved some of my giant pansy seed from the springtime, and so I'm going to take these seeds here. I was just kind of smushing them to see if I could release them from the seed pod, because some of the seed pods are in there, and I'm going to plant these as well. Let's see, I'm going to take these packets out of my plastic bag. I bought several of them because I really enjoy pansies. I think they're absolutely beautiful. They're a lovely spring and fall flower. So these are pretty much the same as the pansies. So I'm just going to spread these in here like so. Now I'm also spreading the seed pod. So I'm just going to put all of that in here. I want a full showing of pansies. I hope you guys can see what I'm doing and you're just not looking at my back. Just like that. Now I'm going to top dress this with a little bit of soil that I reclaimed from some other pots that I freshed up with some fertilizer. Then I'm going to water that in, and that pot is ready to go. as I just mentioned, I mix up some old soil. I've been cleaning up the pots. I think that's also something that I heard another YouTuber say, that they didn't know that there was jobs that needed to be done in the garden during the spring, summer, and fall. It's a constant something to do. And yes, there's always something to do in the garden. And so all those pots that they didn't germinate, all those starters that I tried to create something new in, I just took that soil, revitalized it, put some coconut coir, some plant tone fertilizer, some blood meal, bone meal, some vermiculite, and some perlite. And I'm just going to take this mixture and I'm just going to sprinkle it on top just to cover up those seeds a little bit, and also to revitalize this soil some. I've already given my plants some fertilizer. It's that time of the season where they need a little food, and so I gave them a little August feeding. I need to put this drip irrigation back in there. And I'm just going to press the soil down so that these seeds have some contact with the soil. It's not altogether necessary because I'm going to water it in, and that water is going to depress the soil, but I just wanted to make sure that I got it really good. So I'm just going to take a handful of this revitalized, fertilized soil and put some in this pot as well, because I did the same thing over here. I went ahead on and put some pansies over there, some giant Swiss pansies over there. So all of the flower pots that the spring flowers have died back or are dying back, I went ahead on and sprinkled them with some pansies and or violas in the hopes that I will get some pansies and or violas for the fall. So let's go over to the table and start potting up those babies that came in the mail today. Okay, we're at the table. Here is the pot of plants that I have been that's been soaking for a few hours. Here are some pots that I'm reusing. I've had them for a number of years. They were in the shed. I'm just placing some soil in the bottom of these pots like so. And again, this is nothing more than soil that was spent. I went ahead and put some perlite, vermiculite, some plant tone, some coconut coir, and some, I think it was blood meal, because the plant tone already has bone meal in it. I think that's what they have in it. So that's what I put in this bucket right here. And this is just used soil that I took from other pots that I've been cleaning up from the garden, because it's that time of the year that things need to be cleaned out. Now, these are the Society garlics. Let me put my reading glasses on, y'all. These are the Society garlics. There are 3 plants in each one of these. So that I have 9 of these. I've got 9 individual little plants. I am not going to break these up, not right now. I am just going to take them out of the pot, and I'm going to leave the existing soil, a little bit of it. Oh wow, oh wow. There is no soil. Look at that. Can you see how root bound that is? There is no soil. All you see is let me put this back right there. This is the only soil that is in this pot. All the rest of this is root. It is so root bound. Wow, look at that. I hate to tear up roots, but I need to kind of take these apart a little bit. I'm just going to try to give this a little squeeze, just to kind of let them know that, hey, they can let their feet go a little bit. All right. And then I'm going to place this inside of this pot, right, just like that. And I'm not going to place it any higher than the soil level right here. I'm just going to cover it around. I'm going to take my scoop, and I could raise it up a little bit more, but I'm going to play it by ear, y'all. This is my first time actually having this plant. As a matter of fact, I'm going to raise it up just a tiny bit. Just like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of wood chip on the top of that soil. So I didn't plant it deep, but I did plant it right up to that soil line, that little bit of soil that was on it, and I'm going to put some wood chip on it. I pressed the soil down just a little bit so that it knows it's in a pot, and I'm going to clean up, you know, this broken piece right here. I'm going to clean it up. So that's number one. I'm going to take this tag and I'm going to put it back in there, because that way I know what it is, because you all know I'm real good about not knowing what something is for a while until it presents itself to me. Now this had a little bit less soil in it, so I'm going to put a little bit more in there, and I'm just going to pot up all of these. I'm not going to have you sit there and watch me do all of them. Look at those roots, guys. Look at that. Oh my goodness. This is going to be the exact same way. You see how the roots, can you guys see that? How the roots are popping up on the top? You see that? Hope you guys can see that. It's even hard for me to squish this pot. It's root bound really bad. I mean, real bad. Look at that. Oh wow. Can you see that? And the only soil that it has is just this right here on the top. It's got maybe a tiny bit in the inside, but it's screaming, please give me another place to live, because I can't live here any longer. Oh my goodness. I'm sure this is going to do well. I'm hoping it's going to do well, but because it is like severely root bound. Severely root bound. But I'm still pleased. I'm still pleased, you know. You can get the same thing when you go to any store. Okay, so I'm not going to have you watch me do all of this. I'm going to pot all these up the same way, and I'm going to come to you when I am at the last pot. Okay, so I'll be right back. All right, I am down to the last pot. I had to go get another pot. I thought I had enough, but it turned out I did not. But that's okay. I collect the pots. I don't throw them away unless there's something wrong with them. When I purchase a plant, or a plant is given to me, I will keep that plastic pot, because that's valuable real estate. Okay, so I've placed the soil medium in this little pot right here. This is that poor little marshmallow. I am really not certain if this pot is going to last. So as a matter of fact, let me take a picture of it, because that's one thing they said they want you to do. If something doesn't look right, it doesn't look healthy, to take a picture of them, and if anything happens, they'll replace it. So give me a second and let me take a quick picture. So I've taken a quick picture of it. Now I'm going to pot it up, and I've been trying to pay attention to the soil to make sure that there aren't any bugs or weeds or anything like that. You can't always see everything. So if there was a weed, I did pull it out. You see, that's the root ball is really not that established all that well. It's still established, but not that well. So I'm going to place this in the soil, and I am not going to water this. It's been sitting in water. All of these have been sitting in water for a couple of hours, up until I was able to get outside. And this soil medium is moist. I made sure of that when I mixed it up a couple of days ago. And you know, coconut coir does maintain a nice moisture balance. So yeah, I don't know if this one's gonna survive, you guys, but we're not gonna count it out yet. So I've brought some, let's move this down. I have brought some wood chip. It's plain wood chip. It doesn't have any coloring on it, just plain old wood chip. And I am going to just lay a little layer on the top. I like to make sure that all of my plants have some form of a mulch. That way the moisture can stay in it as much as possible. You want to try to keep as much moisture in your plants as possible. But what I was saying about the bugs and weeds, I did look at the soil as I was planting them up, and so I only found one that had a like a roly-poly, a meal bug or whatever they're called. And so the weather tonight is supposed to drop down, believe it or not, into the 70s, the mid 70s. So I am going to leave these on the table, but I am going to top dress this coconut coir, this wood chip with food grade diatomaceous earth. So if anything crawls up or tries to crawl on, it's not going to live. Because I am going to take these in the house in the morning, because they're not going to be able to last the heat. They need to be acclimated. That's the one thing that the documentation that they send you tell you is how to keep your plants alive and what to do. And one of those things is to make sure that it doesn't get direct sunlight, that you water it really, really water it deeply, and you pot it up immediately. And that's exactly what I've done. I watered it in deeply by letting it sit in that pail of water while I was finishing up work. And now you see me potting them up. And I'm proud of myself because I kept those little plant tags. We'll see how long that lasts. All right, so this is it, everybody. This is me taking care of the new babies that came into the garden today. I'm going to finish putting this wood chip on top, and I'm going to top it off with some diatomaceous earth, and it's going to stay on the table all night because it's not going to be 80 degrees. It's going to go into the 70s, and that should be sufficient to allow them to get a little bit of warmth on them, to get some nice air on them, and they'll get a little bit of dappled sun early in the morning when the sun comes up. And when I let the dog out in the morning, that's when I will bring them inside on a tray. I'll put them on a tray and bring them inside. Look at that. Doesn't that fig look beautiful? Look at that fig. Man, I feel so blessed, you guys. I really do. This season, even though everything has gone so crazy in the world, I have gotten so many blessings, and it takes the sting out of everything that's going on. So thank you very much for tagging along with me today. I greatly appreciate you visiting my channel, liking, commenting, and all the wonderful subscriptions. Whether or not you've been with me for the whole, I think I've been on 4 months. Whether or not you've been with me 4 months, or today was your very first day becoming my subscriber, I greatly appreciate you stopping by and deciding that you would like to be a part of the ClausenWorld family. Let me look at you guys. There we are. Hey, y'all. So I want to thank you. You all have a great night. It is 8:15. I have a couple more things to do in the garden. I've already watered everything in, and that'll be it for me. Don't pay any attention to that poor apple tree. I'm working on that. I think they sold me something that was really, really deprived of water. I've been checking the roots, and the roots were bone dry. No matter how much water I've been giving it, the roots were dry. It fell over. The wind knocked it over several times, and so the soil fell out of it. I think it's just been traumatized, but I have watered it in deeply. I have given it a top dress of wood chip. I've given it just a tiny bit of nitrogen, just a tiny bit, and it hasn't lost any more leaves. What it has lost are the leaves that had turned brown. They were yellowy and brown and crispy with a couple of spots of some kind on them. Those have fallen off, but those few little green leaves are still there, so I'm hopeful. I did give it a little bit of a trim. I've been reading my book and listening to some tree experts on YouTube and online, and giving it a summer trim will help it to bush out, and that's what I would like. And it was indeed alive when I trim those limbs back. So mosquitoes. So it's going to be all right. So, but that is the end of my video today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, everybody.